Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. If you're watching this video and it's Salah time, please pause it and go pray and come back when you're done. I had a channel member send me a video of Mohammed Hijab Mehdi Hasan speaking about the war crimes Israel is currently committing in Palestine and Lebanon. It was good to see the mutual respect on display, as both these individuals have fiercely and quite intelligently defended our oppressed brothers and sisters in the Middle East and the regions I just mentioned. Let's roll the clip.
It's a combination of intellectual points that he put forward, but also rhetorical presentation. And I think he's one of the best in the world, really, especially on this issue. And what was good about his debate was that he's actually able to present his own primary source material, because he's the one doing these interviews with Israeli representatives and stuff. It has a power to it when you do it like that. He said that nothing justifies October the 7th, but October the 7th justifies everything.
Of Israel in Gaza justified. Look, the argument is pretty simple tonight and pretty hypocritical from Elon. What we've heard tonight is that nothing justifies October the 7th, but October the 7th justifies everything. Well, I'm here tonight to tell you, no, October the 7th does not justify everything. It does not justify the suffering in Gaza. It does not justify the killing of kids in Gaza. It does not justify the starvation in Gaza. It does not justify the rape and torture of Palestinian detainees, which Elon refused to condemn tonight. It does not justify any of that. It doesn't justify the tearing up of the Geneva Conventions, the defiance of international law and the ICC and our own Leahy law. Yes, October the 7th was a war crime, but the response to a war crime is not to commit your own series of war crimes on an epic scale. 33 times as many people killed since October the 7th as were killed on October the 7th. And I'll say this to you, look, very, very clearly, if you support this motion tonight, you are opening the gates of hell. Not just in Gaza, but globally, because every dictator and tyrant around the world will say, Israel's actions were justified? Then so are mine. Putin, Assad, Kim, they'll all say, Israel killed kids. Israel killed aid workers. Israel killed journalists. So can we. And I will be very clear. I will be very clear with you tonight. If you are here tonight, ladies and gents, if you're here tonight to defend what Israel's done, knowing full well what Israel has done, if you're defending the human suffering in Gaza, the amputation of little kids, if you're doing that in full knowledge, then you're not just here to defend the indefensible or justify the unjustifiable. I'm sorry, you're a sociopath.
Just recently, what happened in Lebanon, we don't call that the 22nd of September. 300-400 civilians died, which is comparable with what they call October the 7th. So why don't we have dates that we can also commemorate in that way? You have to say that, actually, to be honest with you, the pro-Zionist, if you like, propaganda in this very specific regard has been successful, that they've been able to coin certain terms. They've said October the 7th, the human shield. We have to deconstruct that, and we have to reconstruct our own versions of that, because if October the 7th becomes a buzzword such that 1,000 people's death, 1/3 of it is military targets anyway, now we can use this, as he's mentioned, to justify the killing of 30 times more than that. It's ridiculous. It's a double standard of tremendous proportions. The reason why Lebanon is very relevant is because Lebanon is a sovereign state which has not declared war. I mean, take the example of the pager thing. If one of these, let's say Hezbollah targets had been in the United Kingdom rather than Beirut, and he'd been on a train in London, and then they detonated the bomb, that's just for the sake of argument, and then one of the children on the bus, white English boy, was killed, would that be called a terrorist attack by consensus? So if a Lebanese boy in a sovereign state, which is Lebanon, which is not at war with the so-called state of Israel, is killed, it's not seen as an act of terrorism. But if a white boy under the same circumstances it would be called an act of terrorism. It already shows you what's going on. What's going on is that there's a double standard of tremendous proportions, and they've got a hierarchy of who they consider to be blood worth saving and blood that's not worth saving.
As you saw, Mohammed Hijab was reacting to a recent debate Mehdi Hasan did with yet another questionable Israeli mouthpiece. If you watched the entire debate, Mehdi easily disposed of his adversary as usual, much like Mohammed Hijab himself has also done on numerous occasions recently. Brother Mohammed, as a respected debater, gave Brother Mehdi a lot of respect, and I imagine that respect is mutual. It would be great to see them have a conversation in person on either of their respective platforms, inshallah. Mehdi in his segment was spot on. He made the brilliant point, and I paraphrase, for Israel nothing justifies October 7th, but October 7th justifies everything. He listed the suffering and starvation of innocent Palestinian civilians, the stolen lives of children, aid workers and journalists, terrorists, as well as the rape and torture of Palestinian prisoners, an alarming high amount of child amputees, and the blatant disregard for international law, all coming under Israel's umbrella of justification to commit a horrendous series of war crimes on an epic scale in retaliation to a single perceived war crime on October 7, 2023, resulting in 50 times more people losing their lives in Palestine since that day at the hands of a relentless and bloodthirsty Israeli regime. Mehdi Hasan correctly labelled people who enable or defend such horrid crimes against humanity as sociopaths. Mohammed Hijab seconded Mehdi Hasan's point that Israel has used October 7th to justify a disproportionate amount of killing and carnage in not only Palestine but in Lebanon also, which as we approach the end of 2024 is still going on a daily basis. Mohammed also made a good point when he said Israel's propaganda dates and buzzwords powered by the Western media have to be countered with opposing commemoration dates like the 17th of September 2024 in Lebanon, where Israel committed an extremist attack using exploding communication devices. I agree with this point, and I would like to add that we should also give every one of the 400 plus days Palestine has been under attack since October 7th the same significance as they give to October 7th. Brother Hijab also made the comparison of what the reaction would be if native British civilians and children in London had been harmed the same way as hundreds of them had been in Beirut, Lebanon. And he came to the correct conclusion that there would have been an uproar and it would have been declared an act of extremism. And that this condemnation was not the case in Lebanon because Israel and their Western allies do not value the lives of Arabs the same way they value the lives of their own. This could not be more evident from how they not only didn't condemn the pager attack, but instead journalists and politicians hailed it as strategic military genius. It's sobering how today, as we approach 2025, the near 500-year-old European colonial attitude towards people of different races and religions lingers in the air as strong as ever. These political elites and those that support them are sociopaths, as Brother Mehdi said, and they most certainly don't value the lives of Arabs or Muslims or any other group if it gets in the way of their ambitions to steal land or gain power, as Brother Muhammad said. Israel is not defending themselves. They are expanding their territory by taking over the West Bank and Gaza entirely, as well as southern Lebanon and Beirut, which is happening as we speak. Thank you for watching. Make sure to join my free Telegram group via the link in the description, where we as Muslims can speak freely and without censorship about issues like this. And remember to like, subscribe and become a channel member for access to exclusive content. Until next time, inshallah, Jazakallah khair.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allah.